proximity of the sidewalk to the parking lot. Kids utilize the sidewalk after school. Kids walk right across the entranceway on the way home. If you look at slide 3, it shows the new Twin Peaks relative to Westchester Academy campus. Once again, the new Twin Peaks is across the street from a middle and high school. Westchester Academy sports fields are also used on weeknights and weekends for sports and league practices. So this area is used day and night by all kinds of children and teens. Slide 4 in the package shows Wilchester Elementary relative to Twin Peaks back parking lot on Good Oak Lane within blocks of the school. If you flip to slide 5, slide 5 shows elementary school students riding bikes down Good Oak Lane in the afternoon, right past the back entrance to the future Twin Peaks. The top photograph of the bus was taken from inside Frostwood Elementary playground area. Burdick was a very busy street after school and is a main thoroughfare used by cars, buses, and most importantly, children walking and riding bikes when leaving school. Given the proximity of the Twin Peaks franchise to the schools and surrounding West Houston neighborhoods, I have 3 primary concerns. Number 1, possible intoxicated drivers pulling out onto Good Oak Lane into after-school kid traffic, either walking or on bikes. My second concern, there could be an index of crime to the surrounding community. As a reference point,
move to extend. Second.
As a reference point, HPD open records.
Sure, one moment, your time has expired, but we do have some council members that have some questions. Councilmember Davis.
May I defer to the district councilman?
Well, yeah, he's up next.
Okay. Thank you for coming today and the support. Quick question. You said, have they started construction?
Yes. It's the photograph shows the partially constructed franchise.
So at this moment, I'm just asking, what's your request to this governing body here?
Right. I have one request to the city. Given proximity of Twin Peaks to 3 schools, the city should put the safety of the children and teens first and request that the TABC challenge the existing liquor license. So that's my request, challenge the existing liquor license of the location.
Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
Okay.
Council member, we have, I'm sure the speaker is aware, we, in our ordinance governing businesses that sell alcohol, the 300-foot rule does not apply to restaurants. And as he pointed out, Twin Peaks, well, I'm not familiar with Twin Peaks, but as I understand it, it's not a sexually oriented business. I gather it's something along the lines of Hooters. Is that what it is?
It's Hooters. You go to the Facebook page and see more than one careful probably.
We, in Texas, we have what's called the Vested Rights Act. And the laws that were in place at the time that they sought their terminating are the laws that particular establishment is allowed to rely on. So we're really kind of between a rock and a hard place on this.
Councilmember and Mr. Spalding, and to your neighbors as well that are here to speak on this. The City of Houston's role is strictly administrative. There's no vote of City Council on this. 3 different departments reviewed it, Administrative and Regulatory Affairs, City Legal, and the Planning Department. And they each agreed that there's nothing that the city can do to restrict them from opening based on City Ordinance Section number 3 or Chapter 3 in the Code of Ordinances. They did reach out, and the owner has agreed to erect a 6-foot fence around the patio area to obscure the view of the general public, and they're also prohibited from placing any alcoholic beverage advertisement or promotion so as to not be visible to the public. But ultimately, TABC approved their food and beverage certificate application in October, so there's really nothing else we could do at this time. Councilmember Davis, does that conclude your question?
So, well, yeah, thank you for coming out, and and I do understand looking at the pictures. the situation that you're in.
It defies common sense, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
In my mind, it defies common sense. I think some proposing ordinances mitigate risk for children.
Sir, we do have some other council members that wish to speak to you. Councilmember Pennington.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spalding, for being here. As you know, you and others in the area have been in contact with our office. We provided you a copy of the ordinances. The ARA, the department that regulates this, has been out to measure the distances, and as the Mayor Pro Tem stated, the license is validly issued. What we can do is to continue shining the light on this project to make sure that they're not violating the percentage of alcohol that they sell versus the percentage of food that they sell, and those records are readily available. And also from reports from local residents and from HPD activities, we can also monitor the activities that go on in a place like this, so that there are violations for drugs or for things like unreasonable conduct, and we can take a disciplinary action, enforcement action against them. And I'm sure you will continue to look at that. But that's all we can do at this particular time. Thank you.
Councilmember Starling.
Thank you. I've been approached by a number of folks, including our school board members, our school board presidents at Spring Branch. I appreciate Councilmember Pennington's. This is actually in his side of the freeway, but we share school district and the children, and there's a number of issues that were brought to my attention that I wanted to share that you were sharing, but I need our colleagues to understand that while this may be considered a restaurant, technically by TABC.
Is there a motion to second?
Second.
Favoring, opposed, motion carries.
According to what I've been told, the establishment hosts bikini car washes, theme weeks such as Sexy Secretary Week, National Cleavage Week. It compromises the integrity of our community next to our schools. I was looking through my notes here that I was provided. This makes up the 3 campuses, including our community art museum, which I'm very proud of at the Westchester District. I've been there for a number of occasions for the Spring Branch Education Foundation meetings. There's ball fields back there. There's all sorts of things that our children will be directly exposed to. So if you're talking about a 6-foot fence, that's great. But I think that I don't have confidence in TABC. I have a long history of working on issues in our community with TABC. They are not our strongest advocate for our communities. I'm very pro-business. I feel it's fair that common sense, as you said. I have talked to the mayor stopped and caught me as she was leaving, so we will be looking at this further. And I appreciate everyone coming down, sharing their comments and their concerns. But we need to make sure that we made an exception for good grocery, and I believe in that. That's common sense. But I think that we need to be very cautious on crossing the line and allowing that gray area of maybe an SOB, or it might be a bar, it might be a restaurant. We've got to be very careful in this process. Thank you.
Councilmember Kumar.
You can be sure you have my attention on this. I'm looking at your bullet points, and intoxication is used twice. What I'm concerned about as well is the intoxicated manslaughter we have as a result of drinking and driving. We have the highest, I understand, in the nation. And if somebody's caught drinking and driving here in Houston, the consequences seem to have been so reduced. We have the lowest bond schedule fee of any first-time DWI in the state that I know of is $500. You go down to Brazoria County, it's $2,500. But if you can't afford a bond, we'll give you a free one. Harris County gave 723 free bonds in 2012. What are we telling the citizens of the city? No consequences or very little to drinking and driving. So as a result of it, they are killing our people and themselves. So you've certainly got my attention. I don't know what can be done. I know that I had a someone who had jumped bail on me, and I had to go into one of these facilities and look for them, found them, by the way. And I saw that there was a lot of drinking and there was a lot of partying going on. And I don't necessarily disagree with any of that if they want to have fun, but when you carry it outside into a school area or into a neighborhood area, or if you get on the road with it, there needs to be serious consequences. So you have my attention. I'll do anything I can.
Councilmember Lash.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Spalding, thank you for coming down. I want to reiterate some of the phrases of my colleagues around the chamber. There's nothing more frustrating in the world to a district council member when citizens come forward and ask for help and there are handcuffs placed upon us and upon the city about what we can do. I absolutely agree with Councilmember Stardy. I have no confidence in the TAPC to do the right thing on this matter. I have no confidence in the TAPC or the way it's operated in Harris County to do the right thing in this matter. Neighborhoods all across the city are faced with these same kinds of challenges. To their credit, the legal department has attempted to do everything they possibly can, even though I've had some ongoing discussions with them about distance markers and what is a school and what isn't a school. By looking at your presentation today, it just shocks the conscience that this is beyond common sense, the location of where this facility is scheduled to be, virtually in the front yard and in the driveway of the school. So I would ask you to continue your process and your community's process to be involved in this, not just this council, but also take it up a notch. The state representative, the state senator, there are things that can be done, and I think definitions become important in the future. I assume that you and your community have met with the owner of the facility that rented this property to this establishment. Is that correct?
No, we have not.
Can you tell us who that owner is?
The owner of the landowner?
Motion carries.
I guess my point is this. We all have a stake in our communities, and landowners that lease these kinds of properties to these kinds of establishments and these kinds of situations ought to answer to the public as well. So within the bounds of the law, and I'm sure you're well represented in that regard, I would encourage you to have a discussion and have a public discussion with that landowner and let that landowner have some stake in this community about what they're doing in this neighborhood. They ought to be answerable to this community as to why they would allow this kind of establishment to go literally in the front door of a school. To the extent that anyone around this council chamber can help, let us know. We'll do our best. We're sorry that there are some limitations upon what we can do.
Appreciate your support.
Councilmember Robinson.